Here's how I think you could beat every current UFC champion. Tommy Aspinall. When it comes to Tom Aspinall, we all know that we are looking at a generational talent inside the heavyweight division, a guy that moves like a lightweight, a guy that has devastating power in his hands. So whenever you get presented a challenge like this, it is going to be a unique one. So when I look around the heavyweight division, I really don't see anyone that has an answer for Tom Aspinall outside of Jon Jones. I believe that in order to beat Tom, you need to be someone that has a very dynamic skill set with incredibly high fight IQ. Whether you like Jon or not, he has all of those things. And I believe if you can outthink and outsmart Tom Aspinall, that is how you are going to beat him. Because if Jon goes in there against Tom, he knows he's outgunned when it comes to the power. Because a lot of heavyweights, they have this ego, I got to stand in there, I got to try to knock you out, where Jon's not going to come in with that approach. He's going to use kicks from range. He's going to mix up the stances. He's going to look to utilize the wrestling to try to drown Tom, take the energy out of him, wear him down, make him tired, beat him up with ground and pound, and keep him constantly guessing. Because Jon knows in the early rounds, Aspinall is going to be incredibly dangerous. But if he can wear on him, if he can make him dig deep and take him into those later rounds where Tom has never been, that is going to be the way that you beat Tom Aspinall. Outthinking him, utilizing your fight IQ, and mixing it up on him. Jon Jones. Look, when it comes to Jon Jones, we all know that he is one of the most talented mixed martial artists that there has ever been. But what we've seen back, especially at 205, was two fighters that gave Jon some trouble. One of them being Dominic Reyes, the other being Alexander Gustafsson. What did those two fighters bring to the table that gave Jon some issues? Number one, they have outstanding boxing. And we know that one of the big weaknesses when it comes to Jones's game is the boxing deficiency. So those guys were able to really bring that out against Jon Jones and show Jon definitely has some holes there. But that wasn't all. Those guys had very good footwork, very good lateral movement, and they also had excellent takedown defense. It's not as simple as just going in there and putting the boxing on Jon. You have to be able to stop the takedowns and keep the fight on the feet, because if Jon can take you down, he's going to keep you guessing. He's going to be able to mix things up, which is what freezes guys. And I think it takes someone that also has the ability to think in there and understand what is going on. And when you look around the heavyweight division, we all know who that guy is. That is Tom Aspinall, a true heavyweight with devastating knockout power that moves like a lightweight, has the footwork, has the movement of bouncing in and out of range, backed with a very good ground game of his own, while also being able to be a guy that operates with high fight IQ in there. So if someone is going to go in there and beat Jon Jones, it would be someone like a Tom Aspinall who has the power, has the boxing, the footwork, and also has the takedown defense. Magomed Ankalaev. Look, when it comes to Big Ank, I truly believe that he is one of the most well-rounded 205ers that we have ever seen. And if you go in there and you try to have this slow-pace, back-and-forth type of matchup with Ankalaev, it is not going to go over real well for you, because what we've seen from him is he is a high-level striker, he has excellent boxing, but he also has a very good ground game to incorporate as well. So what's it going to take to beat Ankalaev? I think that it is going to take someone that goes in there with a chaotic pace, a chaotic style, that is not afraid to risk it, that could potentially cause Ankalaev to make an uncharacteristic mistake. Because if you go in there and you play this super strategic matchup with him, it's not going to go over well for you. So maybe in a rematch, a guy like Alex Pineda could move forward, try to get Ankalaev to open up more, put more pressure on him to get him to maybe do something uncharacteristic to where you can catch him with a shot. Or even a guy like Yuri Prohaska. While Yuri is really reckless when it comes to the defense, he's wildly unpredictable. He throws shots from weird angles. He has a decent submission game, and he has true power to where if he lands with one of those shots you don't see coming, he could put anybody in the division out. And even a guy who's on a resurgence now in Dominic Reyes, who has good footwork, good timing, and good speed, to where he could slide into range and land one of those perfect counter left hands on the chin of Ankalaev. Those could be some guys that could go in there and possibly find a way to beat Ankalaev. But if you go in there and you have this, strategic, slow-paced type of fight, I don't believe anyone is beating Ankalaev that way. Dricus Du Plessis. Look, when it comes to DDP, man, he is someone that when you watch him fight, nothing looks particularly super technical, like, hey, man, that's exactly how that should be done. But the bottom line, he always finds a way to win. And he has a truly well-rounded skill set. He's got good power in his hands. He's got excellent kicks. He's very dynamic. He has a very good ground game. And he's someone that if you get into a grit fest with, you try to outwork him, outdog him, you are not going to beat Dricus Du Plessis. And I truly believe that. So what's it going to take to beat a powerhouse like DDP? I believe that it is going to take a specialist, someone like a Khamzat Chimaev that I believe has an Olympic level of wrestling ability, someone that has outstanding submissions that the minute he gets a hold of you, he is able to threaten you and put you in real danger, because I don't think anyone can outscore Dricus over the course of 25 minutes. So you need someone that is an assassin that can go in there and look for a finish to get this guy out of there. So I believe that Khamzat Chimaev, which hopefully is the fight that should be next, is the only guy at middleweight right now that could go in there and take out Dricus Du Plessis. Now, if you had to say someone else, I could see someone that's very clean with the striking, that has power when they open up, like a Nasruddin Imavov, who can snipe them from the outside and play that technical game against Dricus Du Plessis. So in order to beat DDP, you have to have power, you have to have outstanding submission abilities, and you have to be able to capitalize on some of those errors that DDP makes. We saw against Derek Brunson. Brunson put him in some bad positions with the grappling. We saw Robert Whittaker able to take down Dricus. I know it wasn't for long, but it just gets your mind thinking. If that's Khamzat who's able to take his back and get, in some really good positions there, you'd like to think that he would find some sort of a submission finish. And again, don't sleep on the knockout power of Khamzat Chimaev as well. Belal Muhammad. Look, when it comes to Belal, he's someone that really flies under the radar when it comes to the overall skill set. We all know that he has outstanding pace, he has outstanding pressure and wrestling and all these different kinds of things. But I believe that it is the improvements that we have seen specifically with the boxing that have taken his game to the next level, to where over the course of 25 minutes, it is going to be very hard to outwork and outscore Belal to win a decision. So what does that leave us with? You are going to have to go in there and take this guy out and finish him. So when you look around the welterweight division, we got some dangerous surging guys on the rise, but I think that it is going to take someone that can stop the takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, and threaten him with power of their own. So who could do that? Shavkat Rakhmonov, a guy that has good grappling of his own, that is a tall, rangy guy for the weight class, that does have power in everything that he does, is dangerous in the clinch, has good submissions of his own, to where he can threaten Belal at multiple different areas wherever the fight goes. And another nomination that people used to laugh at me when I said this, and you're not laughing now, and that is Joaquin Buckley, a guy that has shown he is a true powerhouse down at 170 pounds. He's got that Mike Tyson peekaboo style, devastating power in his hands with a gas tank for days, while being able to grapple with some pretty good guys that we have seen inside the division. Now, I don't think that he has faced as good of a grappler as Belal Muhammad, but I believe that you need power, you need a very good gas tank, and you need to be able to stop the wrestling to go in there and beat Belal. I think if anybody were to do it, it would be a guy like Shavkat or a guy like Joaquin Buckley. But beating Belal with the skill set that he brings is going to be a very tall order. Even a guy like Sean Brady in a rematch where he has kind of, adjusted some of his skills, his boxing is improved, who has submission abilities of his own. The bottom line, you have to be able to stop the takedowns and you have to be able to finish the fight. Islam Makhachev. Look, when it comes to Islam, there are basically no holes in this guy's game. He has become an excellent boxer. We know he has outstanding kicks, like we saw when he was able to knock out Alexandre Volkanovski. We know that he has an outstanding game when it comes to the grappling. He has excellent submissions, excellent trips, excellent overall takedowns, to where it is going to take a special, unique individual to go in there and beat Islam Makhachev, because when it comes to a complete fighter, Islam is as close as it gets. So what do you need to beat a guy like Islam? Well, You need someone that has the X factor, someone that has a skill set that can match Islam in most facets of MMA while being able to threaten with a finish. A guy like Ilia Topuria, while Ilia might be a shorter guy, he has elite boxing skills. He has devastating power in his hands to where if he lands, I believe that he could put anybody out as we saw at 145. I believe that he can also do the same at 155 pounds. And he also has a very good ground game that flies under the radar. A lot of people don't recognize that before getting to the UFC, that is how Ilia won a lot of his fights, was taking guys down, working and finding submissions. That was Ilia's game. So in order to beat Islam, you need to be someone like an Ilia, a lower center of gravity, a strong base, power in your hands, or even a guy who I think is probably his biggest threat. I was hoping we were going to get the rematch, and that would be Arman Tsarukyan in a rematch, because Arman, he's a powerhouse of a dude at 155. He has power in everything that he does. He has a good gas tank, and he has the wrestling to possibly match Islam Makhachev. The issue for Arman is I believe that Islam's striking has now far surpassed Arman to where he can pick at him on the feet. But overall, you have to have something that can match Islam, because you have to stop the takedowns, because if you can't, you're absolutely cooked, and you have to be able to threaten with power on the feet to where you can shut his lights out, because if you try to go 25 minutes with this guy, I really don't think that anybody could do that at lightweight. Alexander Volkanovski. Look, it's been a feel-good story, man. Seeing Volkanovski get his belt back, and he is one of the most elite fighters of all time, and he's the greatest featherweight of all time, right? When you look at what he has done inside the division, it is absolutely spectacular. But the bottom line, we have seen how to get to Alexander Volkanovski. We saw Islam Makhachev knock him out in the rematch. We saw Ilia Topuria knock him out when Volkanovski tried to come back down to featherweight and defend his title. If you can provide a challenge that Volk has not seen, if you can provide a dangerous knockout threat on the feet, you have a very good opportunity to beat Alexander Volkanovski. So when I look around the current featherweight division, Diego Lopez was one of those guys that I thought that could go in there and find a way against Volkanovski, considering he has dangerous submissions, he has excellent power in his hands. Those are some of the things that can trouble Volkanovski. Turns out, Volk just absolutely outclassed a young gun like Diego Lopez. So what's it going to take? When you look around a featherweight right now, I don't think that anyone per se has the true devastating power other than a guy like Jean Silva, who still has a little bit of work to do to get to a title shot. But I believe Silva has the confidence, he has the movement, he has the takedown defense that we saw against Bryce Mitchell, and he has true knockout power in his hands, and that is one of the tickets to being able to trouble Alexander Volkanovski. But the main guy that I think could beat Volkanovski is Movsar Evloev, a challenge that is quite unique and something different that Volkanovski has not exactly seen at 145 pounds. Someone that is very physically strong, has very high-level wrestling, that also has very underrated striking on the feet to where if he lands, he can absolutely hurt somebody inside the featherweight division. So while he's went to a decision, in most of his fights since he's been in the UFC, if not all of them, he still has the ability to hurt guys. He has the ability to mix things up. So I think Movsar Evloev, if anybody is going to beat Volkanovski in this new run of his, I believe Movsar has the skills to provide something different that Volkanovski has not exactly seen at featherweight. Merab Dvalishvili. Look, when it comes to the machine, we have seen that if you try to go the distance with this guy, it is not going to go over well for you, because Merab's pace, his pressure, the way that he is able to constantly shoot for takedowns and press the action, he will gash you out and outscore you on the judges' scorecards. And we saw in this most recent fight, I thought if anyone was going to beat Merab at 135 pounds, it would be a guy as well-rounded and as skilled as Umar Nurmagomedov, who had the striking, who had the grappling to hopefully shut down what Merab was going to be able to bring to the table. And we just saw Merab has the ability to keep going against anybody. So what's it going to take? It's going to take someone that could go in there and finish this guy. You're not going to be able to go back and forth and outwork Merab. He is known for outworking absolutely everybody. So oddly, I think the most likely challenges that could beat him would be Sean O'Malley in a rematch. A true sniper on the feet that has good footwork, has the range and the ability to punish the midsection of Merab, because we even saw O'Malley give Merab some issues when he was landing those shots up the middle as the fight progressed in fight number 1. So I think if Sean O'Malley comes out more aggressive and looks to find that KO shot, if he finds it, he's able to put Merab out. And then again, Umar Nurmagomedov in a rematch, because again, Umar broke his hand in that fight, and I believe that he is the most skilled overall guy in the division. But you have to have an answer for the pace of Merab Dvalishvili. So the answer is you have to put the guy's lights out. If you go in there and you try to win a decision over Merab, I don't think anyone in the history of the bantamweight division could do that over the course of 25 minutes. So very simple. You need to have the X factor. You need to have the ability to finish the fight. You're going to have to put Merab's lights out. Alexandre Pantoja. Look, when it comes to Pantoja, I've been saying I think that he is one of the most disrespected champions in UFC history. What he has been able to do in his career at flyweight has been nothing shy of absolutely spectacular. And when you watch his fights, he is just a gritty warrior, man. He will find a way to win by any means necessary, whether that's being gritty and scrappy on the feet, whether that's taking you down, wearing you out, looking for a submission. He can basically do it all. So when it comes to a fight against Pantoja, you are going to have to be able to match his energy. You are going to have to bring something special to the table that can trouble Pantoja, because we've seen guys that have that prettier style, like a Brandon Moreno, like a Steve Erceg, get very close to beating Pantoja, but it just wasn't enough. So a guy like a Kai Kara France in a rematch, someone that has solid takedown defense, has devastating power in his hands, to where if he can land a shot, he could put Pantoja out. Or a guy, if he gets re-signed by the UFC, which they should re-sign him, in Makhachev, who has a dynamic skill set, has improved on the feet, has versatility with the striking, has good wrestling, has a submission game of his own, to where he can put Pantoja in real danger. Because if you go in there and try to outscore and outwork Pantoja for 25 minutes, it's almost similar to a Merab. Very different, but yet still kind of similar, to where he will just find ways to outwork you and find ways to win. So I think that you have to match his energy, and you have to bring a finishing threat to the table. So a guy like Kara France, a guy like Makhachev with the submissions, Kara France has the power. I think that a finish is what it's going to take to beat Pantoja over the course of 25 minutes.